Good morning, Carl.
What's up, man? How you
How are
doing?
you today?
Man, fantastic, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Awesome,
Um,
awesome.
I want to bring our future audience into our conversation here quickly here, and
Awesome,
introduce you a little bit here.
awesome,
So
awesome.
this is country artist Carl Ray. He's been involved in the country music scene for several years now. Several years.
Yeah, that's a good.
2007. I know an album going back to 2007, probably long before that, but I know for quite a while now. And in 2017, he released a bluegrass album called Coming Home. His current single is called I Stand With This Country. And the timing couldn't be more perfect, of course. And I'm so grateful to have the chance to talk to you today.
Man, I am so excited to be with you, Dr. Music.
Yeah, I'm a part of Dr. Music. I wish I can call myself Dr. Music, but I'm part of the bigger picture here. So
Yeah, well, that big. We're all part of a bigger picture, right?
I love that. I love that. That's so true.
We're
So
all
true.
part of this bigger picture and things that are bigger than us. So, and we contribute in a small way. I see it as like in an orchestra. You know, you have a little guy waiting for his part, and just at the right time, he hits the little cymbal, ting, the little bell, ting. But it adds to the flavor of what the world is doing, what everybody's doing. So,
Absolutely. I can appreciate it from both sides as a conductor and as also a
ah,
musician. So a little bit of both. So I can appreciate that standing waiting for that guy to hit that ka-ching. And I can also appreciate it from sitting there going, okay, it's my time to play. It's my time to play, you know? So
well,
definitely.
you know, what's really cool about that is several years ago, I performed with the Tulsa Philharmonic Orchestra, and it was my very first time performing with an orchestra. And I just can't tell you how it felt. It was almost like floating on air, you know, and the whole experience. And it was just amazing. So I love that feeling. I hope I get a chance to do that again. It was incredible.
It just brings it brings a whole new level to the music, doesn't it? To be
Yeah.
singing and to have all that
Oh,
behind you.
oh man. And you know, I had to pinch myself literally because I'm thinking, I'm standing in front of these great musicians, and they were so into this music, and the conductor was, you know, it was just magical. And to be able to even go to a symphony or anything like that where you can appreciate, you know, musicians and great music, you know, it's awesome. It's overwhelming too.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great experience to have for sure. That's
Yeah.
great.
So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, how did you initially get involved in music? You know, and when did you decide that this was going to be your thing? This is going to be your career?
Well, you know, I'm convinced that, you know, some things choose you. You know, we make a lot of choices in life. We choose our degree, choose what we want to do, who we want to marry. But there are some things that choose you, I believe. And so music found its way into my soul, into my veins. And at a very young age in church, singing in the choir, and, you know, and I just, you know, for whatever reason, I felt like it connected me to something greater than myself. And it also connected me with people and allowed me to communicate in a way that was different than just talking to someone, you know. And so I had an opportunity to discover the art of writing as well. So it allowed me to dig deep and to be able to contribute something that I was feeling to the outside world. So that became very profound for me at a young age. But then I also had other influences, you know, where back in Houston, I played in musical bands and groups, and as all of us do. And my road led me to a gentleman by the name of Johnny Nash, who recently just passed, by the way. He was most noted for "I Can See Clearly Now," "The Rain Is Gone," "Stir It Up," and he was this bigger than life figure to me that somehow became very real. And so, based on my experiences with him and the music, and learning to write and understanding the business, I just kind of fell into it. And more specifically into the countryside of it. I was writing songs, and Johnny said to me one day, he said, you know, man, you really, you just have a knack for story songs. And I think your music is more country. And he was feeling that. So we started experimenting with that. And I'd go to Nashville and pitch songs, of course. and he recorded some of my music as well. But I just fell into the whole music scene, country scene. And when I linked up with other country songwriters, great songwriters, it really just pulled me in, because I realized then that I thought I could write a good country song, but I didn't really know how until I started connecting with people who could write those songs. And country music, as you know, is what they call 3 chords and the truth. So getting to that truth and being vulnerable sometimes is very difficult. And so I've gotten better, but I'm working at being a songwriter. And I think that's my calling forever, to continue working at being a great songwriter. Because I'm not sure if I ever truly arrive, but you get better and you get better. So that's really what pulled me into the country music scene. And I've just had a blast ever since,
And I'm going to step into that a little bit later with the sense of, I know that you've done a lot of Christian music, the bluegrass gospel music you've done and everything. And do you ever think of yourself as maybe being a vessel for getting your lyrics out to people, like to almost just divinely, just right through you to inspire other people?
Yeah. I look at it, in life, I think the average age, and I hate to be somewhat morbid, but the average age for men to die is around 85-ish or something like that. So when you divide it into quarters, you have to start looking at what quarter of life are you in?
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do to leave something better today than it was yesterday? And so how can I make a contribution to someone's life, to the people around me, to my children and their children, and to my friends and family? I mentor a lot of young people who are looking for different things. And so we spend time talking about how do we not only get things from this world, but what do we give back? So you just can't be consumers. And so with my music, initially when you're playing music, you just really start playing all the music that you love, and you imitate guys and girls, and you're on a road of discovery. And then you start moving into a different area where you're saying, well, what do I truly want to say, and where's my voice? And you start seeking to discover who you are and what you want to say. And music for me became more of that, about what I want to say, And so when I recorded the bluegrass record, which I'm very proud of, because I grew up singing on the porch with my family. And so it reminds me of tight harmonies and singing. And that bluegrass record for me it's entitled Coming Home, by the way. And I felt like that song, I was saying with that album, I'm coming back to who I'm supposed to be. That person who shares good news with people, who encourages people along the way, who tries to reconcile people with their differences, or to make people feel something good in spite of what we see around us. And no matter what it looks like, and no matter what it sounds like, and no matter what you hear, even no matter what you're going through at times, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think Johnny said it best when he said, I can see clearly now the rain is on, and it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. So every morning we wake up, man, it's a good day. It's a good day.
And, that's an anthem that probably has carried so many people through so many, he may not have even realized in his lifetime how he reached so many people with that. It could have been someone's darkest moment, and they hit the play button on that just to get themselves grounded and centered again.
Oh.
So I just.
Oh, man, oh. Yeah, I love it. And with Johnny, I remember singing we would go hunting all the time and fishing. And sometimes when we go hunting, we stay up late at night, and it would just be he and I. We sit out on the porch in the country, and the stars would be so bright. And then he just starts singing, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. And then I'd sing harmony with him, and those moments, I have many moments like that with him, But those moments were just so magical because we would also talk about life and what it means to be a human being. And we got really deep. So, but it was also our connection with the music. And I always say we can always cherish the gift, but we can't forget the person who gave us the gift.
Yeah, he's definitely given you something that you'll carry forever and ever.
Yeah, man.
It's just so and I was aware. I've seen a couple of your recent interviews, and a friend of mine had mentioned to me the other day about Johnny, having passed away, and I wanted to tell you that I knowing that we all believe in a higher faith, higher in God,
Yeah.
that I wanted to first tell you I'm sorry, for that earthly loss of
Sure.
not having him in your life on the earth. We know he's good now. We know he's good.
Yeah.
But what an inspiring, and I think we're sometimes put here to inspire people. He obviously inspired you and so many people.
Yeah.
How did you get to know him? How did that come about?
So I was part of this group called the Supernaturals, and we had these big afros back in the day. And we were really good. We opened up concerts for these R&B groups at the time. They were the Spinners. We were booked with the Earth, Wind and Fire. And so we opened up for some pretty major groups. And we were known in Houston as this fabulous group. And I was going to, my high school music teacher pulled me over to the side one day, and he said, well, Carl, I have someone I want you to meet. And he said, his name is Johnny Nash. And I said, Johnny Nash, the Johnny? He said, yeah. So they had gone to school together, and they were friends. And so Johnny, he brought our group over to meet Johnny. And with the intent of Johnny start working with us to develop us and get us a record deal at that time. And we worked with Johnny for a while, and Johnny had other things he was doing, so everything kind of slowed down. And the guys in the group, they kind of got disinterested, if you will. But for me, I was still interested in music, and so one day Johnny just walked up to me. He said, "Hey, here are the keys to my studio. They're for you, and I want you to develop your songwriting skills, and you can record anything you want. There's the studio. You can sleep in it. You can bring your friends over, whatever you do." And he said, let's make some music together. And that's really how it started. And I started writing, and he would come out to the studio and he would say, I like this, change that. Well, let's sing this differently. What do you think about adding this? And so he began kind of grooming me, if you will. And then one day he said, listen, I've got a couple of people coming over to the house today, and I want you to pitch these 2 songs to them. And I'd never pitched a song in my life. And I said, Johnny, I never, what does that even mean? So.
Yeah.
And I said, who are these people that are coming? So he said, one lady is named Roberta Flack.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh
right?
my goodness.
right.
Oh.
Roberta Flack.
Oh.
And he said the other person is a guy named Peebo Bryson.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, by the way, Roberta's stopping by to hear your song, and Peebo. Oh my goodness.
So they were performing together in Houston, and he invited them out for lunch, and we had barbecue and all that stuff. So I bring my guitar in, and there's Peebo Bryson and Roberta Flack. And I tell you, I couldn't even start initially. And she had to say, it's okay, sweetheart.
I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
Take a deep breath. And so I played the songs, and they listened very intently. And Peebo said, awesome song. He said, I like that line. I would change this. And it was just very organic,
Yeah.
And I tell you, they didn't walk away from that saying, hey, I'm going to record that song. The songs didn't work for them, right? Which is okay. But it was the experience. And Johnny pulled me over and shared something very tender with me, which I keep to this day. He said, Carl, he said, you don't always have to be the best at something. He said, you just have to believe in what you're doing, and you just have to be given an opportunity to share it. And so you get those opportunities by the relationships you have with people and by your integrity. So keep those two things in mind as you journey. Don't try to be the best or feel like you're insignificant. You're supposed to be at the table, and there's always someone better than all of us. And that was a life lesson for me, for a young person to hear.
How old were you when you heard that message? You know,
I was in my 20s, early 20s, and you know, he became that godfather for me. And many people said, "Man, you sound just like Johnny," even to this day. And I had keys to his house. I had, his mother and father called me son. It was just a wonderful experience. And I learned a lot about the music industry, and I met a whole lot of people. And I decided very quickly who I would like to emulate, what parts would I like to take from that person, who would I like to be, as I discover who Carl Ray was really. And so, but more importantly, I just missed the times with him where we would just sit and write. I think Johnny is probably one of the greatest singers of all time, but I also think that he's better with just the guitar and his voice, because it is so beautiful. And so I can't thank him enough for my journey and being part of that journey. And I will see him again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we'll make good music again.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a great experience to interact with people and Roberta and people at a young age, and to be, like you said, now you're trying to mentor young people, because you could if you think back to your mind, what was Carl thinking back at that time in his life? What were you thinking? Like, where am I going to go with my life? What am I going to do? I love music, but can I make a living doing it? Can I, and you had these people, even though they, in the case of someone like Roberta or people, they crossed your path for a moment, but they gave you the inspiration. If someone could tell you, hey, I like this, they don't have to go with the final product, but to say, I like this. I love that lyric. They love one lyric, one word in your song that could give you the inspiration to just carry on for a lifetime of music and passion.
Man, that's yeah, and you're so true, because I wrote this song probably about 2 months ago. It's called "Don't Let Me Miss Moments Like This," and it's really about those moments where in time where you meet a Roberta Flack and they're able to, or you meet a Johnny Nash where they sow into you with words of encouragement, and I'll tell you someday about a story about Garth Brooks, and so these are all these moments. And then we have other simpler moments where you see your son or daughter being born, or you witness your grandkids, so those are moments. And I just say, God, don't let me miss moments like this where I'm too busy not to recognize someone maybe needing help and I just walk by them, or where you give me a great song and I get distracted. Don't let me miss that idea. Let me hold on to it and make it what you want it to be. So.
Well, that's a message that so many people need to hear, because we are all so busy in our lives. We're going from place to place and thing to thing, and our brains, I just think how everything that we see or do is, there's ticker tape on the bottom of a screen telling us about the news. There's people flashing into screens. Everywhere we can go to the gas pump and there's a TV screen at the gas pump. We have so much of that now, too much. Our brains are spinning. So just to be able to sit back, enjoy take in the fresh air and think and not miss those moments. I know I've missed some of those moments in my life by being so wrapped up in something,
Me too. And so that's my desire. Message. That's my desire for you too. My prayer for you is that again, we're only here for a short period of time. So you have to figure out what quarter you're in. Right. Once you do that, you really value that time. And you try to make connections in a way that maybe you haven't made before, or you just try to relish those things. And so that's my wish for people who are listening to the show today, that they will find ways to embrace the moment and relish it and appreciate the people around them. Black, white, green, yellow, it doesn't matter. If they're in your life, they're important. and enjoy them while you both are here.
I can't wait for that message to get out in song for you. I can't wait to hear that hit the music. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting, and that's really, you mentioned all of the noise and all the chaos and all of the, it just seemed like everybody's just bouncing around, and I get it because I'm bouncing around too,
sure.
And I'm trying to calm myself down. And when we had all of the issues happening socially in our country, and we saw the news about George Floyd, and we saw all the rhetoric on television on the left and the right, and the people in the middle, and all of the noise from the different communities, Black community, white community, Hispanic community. It's all of these things just working on our psychic, and going back to how do we just center ourselves, I started thinking about what can I do to contribute to the noise, and hence I stand with this country, it's a song about civility. It's a song about the hearts of men, about getting back to, if what's in here comes out typically. So if we have a change in heart, we will have a change in perspective. But, we are a nation of diversity, and we've got to find a way to live together in harmony, still have our differences, still talk about our differences and debate our differences. But it's just the evil part that's kind of got in there that's causing me to want to hate my brother or my sister, or to hate you because you don't look like me. And so the song I Stand With This Country talks about what was going on in our society. But regardless of where you are, if you're in Paris and London or Spain or wherever, we all want our country. We stand with our country, and we stand for the good of our country. And it's not about just standing, but you have to put some backbone in that jawbone.
Yeah, I agree. It's such an important message, and something that you touched on. We have to be able to agree to disagree. We have to be able to talk. It doesn't do anybody any good if we all bottle up how we feel. We have to be constructive about it. We have to talk. We have to be open. I have to be open to your perspective. You have to be open to my perspective. And it's just, that's something that people miss sometimes. Many conversations I've had over the last several months with people that lifelong friends, and we say, it's so nice that we can have a difference of opinion and still come back to the table and talk, and we're not getting angry. We're just, we're agreeing to disagree.
Absolutely. And what I love about country music is what I found myself in my journey is I would end up in places where sometimes I'm the only Black there, but the music is what pulls people together. Yeah. And I've been in places in small town where I've been told that person is part of the Ku Klux Klan, and but when you start playing music, I've seen some of those people kind of just relax, and we play music, and we walk away. I don't know if that person still believes what they believe or not, but I know in one moment in time, we connect and we say, wow, there was one place I was performing, and this kid walked up to me, and he was kind of, his clothes didn't fit too well. He was very thin. He was walking up to me looking down, and it was kind of eerie at first because I was like, well, who is this kid? And he said, hey man, he said, I appreciate that song you sang tonight. He said, I ain't never seen a Black guy sing country music. And he said, you see those two guys over there? They don't like Black people. And he said, and they told me to hate Black people. He said, but I'm sitting here listening to the music I love and a Black man singing it. And it's not making sense. He said, Mr. Ray, I just want to thank you for coming. And I appreciate your song. So, it's moments like, again, don't let me miss moments like this.
Yeah.
Where you can see the goodness in our world, in the midst of the struggles that we all face. because sometimes we were raised in ways that we can't avoid, and we have to live and grow in those environments. But I have hundreds of stories where life has made me hopeful and optimistic about what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's probably so hard sometimes on any level for someone to come up to say, like for a young person to come up to an adult. Let's just leave it at
Yeah,
a very general. For a young person to come up to an adult and tell them anything, just as simple as I love your music, but then to really get into, you know, racial issues and tell you, you know, to speak eye to eye with you and say, you know what, something's wrong here, and I, you know, almost an apology for the people that were in the corner of the room, you know, the people that brought him. I'm sorry for them, but I love what you're doing, and I don't understand why there's a problem, you know.
that's what I'm saying. And so my call, and you never know through your music or what you're doing, who you're going to touch, who you're going to change. And many times we try and get the big stage where we want 25,000 people. You know, oh man, I want to do no. Wherever you have an opportunity to deliver something positive and good, you just do it, because if you can just improve or help one situation, it may duplicate over time, and you don't see it, but you impact. It's like a ripple, you know, in a river if you threw a rock. And so
Yes.
yeah, so that's my desire through this music, and I hope that when I stand with this country, one of the things feedbacks that we got was from one particular community, well, one person in the community. They said, well, Carl, you should have written that song and just lit into all of white America about all the stuff they were doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we forget that it's not just about George Floyd. Let's take it back to how we live. What's inside of our hearts?
Yeah.
You know, do I say things that I shouldn't say about people, my brother, behind closed doors? Do I treat people honestly and fairly when I deal with them? So we can always look at other things and other people and what's happening in the world, but it really goes back to us, because if we change, if we own that, then things change. But we want to play the blame game on race, on all things, right? So while we're debating these things, I'm just saying let's work on us as well. So let's not just go out and protest, even though protest for me is good, but let's not burn something down, you know, or let's not try to hurt a police officer who's trying to take care of us, you know, or police officers that don't hurt us, you know.
Right.
So let's go back to civility, and let's support people who are in office, but let's hold them accountable as well, right? And so then let's hold ourselves accountable.
It begins with us. You're right. It begins with us.
You.
How can we expect other people to be the way that we want them to be if it's not in our own heart in the first place? If we're just seeing it through a different set of vision.
Right. And so when I finished that song, I Stand With This Country, and by the way, I wrote that song with a guy by the name of Jack White.
I was going to bring that up. Jack White, right?
Jack White. And Jackie has written a lot of songs, Charlie Pride and Neil McCoy, and just a bunch of songs. And when I called him, I said, Jackie, I need your help on this song, because emotionally, I was just upset about what I was seeing and what I was hearing, and I was just trying to process it. And we talked for hours, and we prayed about this song. And that's what this song is, by the way. It is actually a prayer, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a call for the heart, and asking God to take away the evil in this country, 'tis of thee, you know, and heal our broken people. His truth will make us free. You know, so Jack and I wrote this song, and after we finished the song, we just said we're not going to try to justify what we said in it. The song stands for itself, number one. And then number two, I felt like that song was a badge that I had to really wear. It was something that I had to live by. It was not just a song written for people to hear and to get excited about per se, even though I want all that. But it's also a call for me to live a certain way, the way the song was written. So it's something that I've committed to living by, as well as I interact with people, as I deal with my political decisions, as I deal with people who don't look like me, act like me, eat the same food that I eat, love the same music I love, but just to appreciate God's expression in the whole world and all these people, and I'm glad that He has so many different expressions here on earth.
Yeah, I wish more people, I mean, musicians have such a power, any to influence people in a positive way, or
Yeah.
unfortunately a negative way. Some people can, and it's just to take that positive and to reach out, like you said, it's a ripple effect. And you may never know who it is that you've touched, but sometimes you get to see it in their eyes, and then just know that you can walk away from that conversation knowing that person's gears are spinning in a positive direction. I've possibly changed their path in life, and that's daunting. And I wish everybody could think about that too, that like there's a lot of younger singers sometimes that will get started, and I've heard them say, I didn't do this to be a role model. Why are you making me be a role model? And I'm thinking, I've heard, we've heard those conversations with people that, but you're in the limelight, and you're someone that you have two choices. You're at a crossroads. You could inspire people your age, these young kids who inspire kids, or they could choose to say, not so much.
Yeah, no man's an island, right?
Right.
And everybody has been helped by someone.
Yes.
I mean, you probably have a long list of people that you can talk about who've influenced you, who've helped you, who've cared about you, really cared, right? Who sponsored you, not just mentored you, but sponsored you, meaning that sponsor will pick up the phone and say, you know what, this guy is great, and I need you to listen to him, So, there are mentors and there are sponsors. So you have to find out, which one you're going to be along the journey, but we all have both mentors and sponsors. And so, and sometimes you cross people's path for just a minute, a split second, or a day, right? You never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say something and shape their lives or add to their purpose and, creativity, and inspire them.
In one conversation, you're given that moment, you might pass them on the street. It's so interesting how I think sometimes, and I can only speak for myself on this, that, I might hesitate to say something to a stranger, to say hello, to say good morning, to just say something. And the further I travel in life, I'm not so afraid anymore. I'm not afraid to I'm passing someone on my way into a store or something. And, and it doesn't matter if they don't respond in a positive way. I know that I've just tried to, and it's funny that every time I don't do it, every time I keep it in me and I don't say hello to somebody, sometimes they'll come back at me. And I always feel that's God's way of saying, you know what, you should have said hello to that man, and it's happened many times in my life where if I don't act, he says, okay, well, I had to, this person act, So
I've been there, and it's like, I wish this was my analogy, but it's not. Someone shared it with me. It's like a spaceship. When a spaceship takes off, it goes up so high, and these pieces fall off, and then it goes up a little higher, than other pieces fall off. Then you go up and you keep going until you hit your orbit. And so you have a lot of people that are linked to you, that help you along the way. They're not designed to go in your orbit with you, but they do help you get to where you need to go. Right. And I have friends that have helped me that I haven't seen, and people that have helped me, I haven't seen them in years, but they helped me do some things, right? And so that's what life is, and we're those pieces for some people.
Right.
Somebody's helping us, and we're helping somebody. So you're helped by today. What you're doing here for me, I count you as one of those pieces that are helping me, and because for whatever reason, God brought you across my path, and you're part of my purpose now, and I your purpose, and so we become connected, and these relationships sometimes last for a long time, sometimes a very short time, but when they're good and they come from Him, it's all good.
Right.
And
Right.
so he's doing his thing in the midst of what we're doing. And I don't know who he's speaking to, but maybe he's talking to the person who has a heart that needs to be changed. Maybe he's talking to the person who's been discouraged because they don't feel like they're fulfilling their dreams. You know, maybe he's talking to the person um, who aspire to sing country music, but or write great country songs, but they don't know how. I don't know what he's doing, but I know that there are people out there, all walks in life, and we all need a good day, and we all need someone encouraging us. And so I'm so thankful that this show is part of their purpose. I can't see them, but
Right.
they're out there. So you guys who are listening, go do you and do the best job that you can and be encouraged.
So powerful, Carl, you know, so powerful. Just your inspiration. It's infectious, you know, it's infectious. Your inspiration. That's just wonderful. So.
Yeah. So I'm excited. And I Stand With This Country. It's doing well. We've got a great video on it as well.
Yes,
So
I've seen the video.
So those who would like to see it, I urge you to go to YouTube and just look for I Stand With This Country by Carl Ray. And, you know, share it with your friends and family, enemies, people that you have arguments with, you know, just share it.
It's a peace offering. They could say, listen to this song, watch this video.
Yeah, it's a peace offering that says, look, we all matter, but let's just find a way to at least have Thanksgiving dinner together without arguing, you know, or whatever, you know, let's get back to the civility of life and kindness.
Did you and Jack write the lyrics together, the lyrics and the music, or was it one person wrote the lyrics and one wrote the music? Was it kind of a collaboration at both levels?
Yeah, great question. Because initially, when I started writing this song, it didn't look like this, obviously, because there was a lot more emotion involved. And so I sent it to Jack, and Jack immediately called me. And I asked Jack, I said, look, Jack, before you say yes or no, I just need to make sure that you won't offend me if you decide not to write this with me. Because I didn't want to pull him into any discussions or anything that, you know, I care about him. And so I didn't want any problems for him because I didn't know which way this thing would go.
Right.
And so he said, no, we're going to do this together. And so we prayed about it, and we started working on the lyrics, and we'd Zoom, of course. We talked late at night to 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, but most of our conversations wasn't really about the song. It was about our upbringing, and it was about the things that he saw as a white man growing up in Mississippi and Alabama, and what he was privy to. And it was about my background and what I saw in terms of racism and some of the things that I saw. And we were able to just talk about it, and that was a healing taking place among our friendship and a deeper level of, hey, I know who this man is, and he knows who I am. And it was almost like once we went through that cleansing, we started really drafting the right words in the song. And so we penned it. I came up with the melody and some of those things, but he really honed in on the lyrics and those kind of things. So we came out with a really, really good song. And so I'm, you know, again, that song chose me, you know, and I was so thankful and to go through that experience because it was for me as well. It was a healing, and I came out of it just a different person. So now when I talk to people, I'm a little more patient. You know, I don't have to feel like I have to have an opinion about everything. You know, I can just listen. You know, and
right.
And so.
And it had been a while since you had worked with him, right? I mean, was this a call out of the blue to him and saying, you know, I know it's been a while. I don't know how often you guys have talked or collaborated on music, but it just, I kind of got the feeling that it had been a little bit. And then you kind of reach out and say, hey, you know, can we do this? Yeah.
So several years ago, I recorded this album called Play That Country Music Black Boy. And there was a spinoff of the, you know, there was an Average White Band.
Yeah, sure. I know the song. Yeah. That's the first thing I thought of. So, you know, when I heard that, I was like, okay, I know where he's going. Yeah.
Right. And so You know, funny story, I was playing in Fort Sill, Oklahoma at the Army base, and Wade Hayes, who's a country artist,
Sure.
we were playing together, and he's an awesome guitar player. I play rhythm primarily, but he plays guitar. And he leaned over and he said, "Hey man, do you know, play that funky music, White Boy?" You know? And I said, "No, I don't know that one, man, but you rock it. I'll just figure it out," you know?
Sure, sure.
And then I was in Zurich playing there, and this guy had a little too much to drink. He walked up to the stage and he just said, "Play that country music, black boy." And so after those two things happened, I said, "Well, I'm gonna just write this song," you know? So I wrote the song. But on the album, there's a song called "One More Sunset." It's a cowboy song. And Jackie Jack White and a guy named David Slater wrote that song. And the guy who was producing the record for me, his name is Wood Newton, who's, he wrote Bobby McGee. He wrote Riding with Private Malone for David Ball. He's Kenny 20 years ago for Kenny Rogers. So he's written a slew of hits. And when we were working on this album, and he said, "I got the perfect cowboy song for you," because I was looking for one.
Right.
And One More Sunset, written by Jack. And so after that, Jack and I hooked up, and Jack has a similar to the Grand Ole Opry down in Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
At the Temple Theater. So he had me come down, and from that, our families connected, and we became friends over the years. But we hadn't written anything, and we hooked up probably about a year and a half ago, and just started writing for the first time. And we've written a lot of songs together so far. And so I was already in the groove with him, writing. And but I still write a lot by myself. He writes by himself. But this particular song, I said, man, I need someone to temper the emotion here, and to work with me. And so, and I figured out that he needed it too.
Yeah. You know? Wonderful story. Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I love him. He's my brother.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Who were some of your other influences? I know you said, like, you know, some influence were people who were put right in your path, like you said, the Spinners. I believe B.B. King. You did shows with him.
Did shows with him.
Teddy Pendergrass, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what about people that maybe you didn't cross the path with, that they didn't walk right in front of you, but you grew up hearing their music and saying, "Boy, I want to write like that person. I want to sing like that person." Who else is out there like that you've?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the songwriter too, you know, and
me too.
I love the singers, you know, but I just love the songwriters. And so when you get me around a bunch of songwriters, that's where I get giggly, you know. And but that said, you know, I love Keith Whitley, you know.
Sure.
And I do one of his songs, Don't Close Your Eyes, you know, which is a gorgeous song. So I love Keith Whitley. I love Charlie Pride, of course. You know, I love Charlie primarily because of him being kind of the first person that I saw singing country music live. Actually, he was one of the people who came to Houston. And Johnny said, "Hey, you want to go see Charlie Pride?" I said, "Yeah, let's go see Charlie Pride." So they pick us up in this limousine, and we're going to Gillies, which is a big honky tonk.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Urban Cowboy was filmed there at Gillies.
Wow,
right?
I've never been there. I know about it. I've never been down there to see that, but I know the legend of Gillies. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm standing there and I'm seeing Charlie Pride sing, you know, and I'm in awe. You know, this is Charlie Pride. So Charlie, Keith Whitley. I love some of the bluegrass singers as well. Rhonda Vincent is one of my favorites.
And you worked with her on the bluegrass album, correct?
Yeah, she sang. We did a duet called "The Old Rugged Cross."
Right.
It was so cool, man. It was so cool. And so to work with Rhonda Vincent, the queen of bluegrass, you know, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And it's just, I could just go on and on. A guy named Brooke Benton was one of my favorites too. He most noted for "Rainy Night in Georgia." Okay. That's his biggest record.
Yeah.
And again, with Johnny, I was able to work with him and record with him, you know, as a young person. And so, you know, I've got all these great stories, and there are just many more. Wood Newton is one of my favorite writers. You know, David Ball is one of my favorite country crooners who I also recorded with, and did a song with him called "Textbook Case of What Not to Do." And so all of these people, you know, God's just blessed me with favor, you know.
Sure.
And I think that's what it amounts to. It's about favor. And so I just thank him for favor. And when he opens a door, I try to walk through it and try to do my best and let him do the rest.
You know, going back to Charlie Pride for a second, I know that you're a fan. I'm going to tell you why, okay? So this is how I know. I read that you have this Black Country Music Radio playlist on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
And so I went on there. I went and checked it out. And what was, you know, a few hours of work for you turned into 27 hours of music that of other people, of course. And that Charlie Pride list is like this. There are a lot of Charlie Pride songs on there. I saw that. And I thought, how cool is that? I had to bring it up, you know? Just amazing, you know, the body of work.
Well, when you think about it, there's nowhere in the world you can go and hear that body of music.
Right.
Nowhere. So mainstream doesn't play it. You know, it's nowhere. You can't find it. And so when you have, and by the way, it's growing, because I'll continue. But I've had so many comments about it, you know, and thank you for pulling this music together. Just as also a resource for educational purposes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So not always about trying to make money, but about preserving the body of work of something, you know, and having a place where you can have a barbecue and turn on the music and you can hear all this music, great music for our Black country artists. Because I would perform at some of the rodeos in Texas or different places, Oklahoma. And when they play music, they would always play rock and roll or R&B. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, this is a rodeo. Where's the cowboy stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Come on, man, give me some. Come on.
Yeah.
And so I started building that, but I started this journey years ago before the CMA festival. It was called Fanfare. Right.
Oh, for many years. I never got to go. I always wanted to get down to Nashville for that, but boy, I would go
to Fanfare. And so one of my missions has been just to talk about the contributions that Blacks have made to the industry of country music, because sometimes it gets lost in the shadows of everything, because everything is about big record companies, big, you know, but there's a lot of good music out there, and I tried to pull it together. And it's awesome. I spent some time going through and just I pulled up, I hit a couple buttons. I said, if there's a lot of songs by this artist, must be something about them. You know, the names I didn't know. You know what I mean? So that's already that service right there to one person. I'm sure thousands of others that they go on there and they hear a song from someone that maybe it reminded me actually. I forgot that Lionel Richie had done that one album. Yeah,
I forgot he did that, and I went back and kind of clicked on some of that. I bought most of his records over the years, you know, and I forgot he did that country album. Yeah, right. You and I both, right? And it was really neat to go back and say, oh, I forgot that he did that. So I think you sold a record for Lionel Richie yesterday. Okay, I mean, you know, hopefully you're selling lots of your records too, of course. But I think I'll be buying a Lionel Richie record this week. You know, it's funny, but that's all those artists under that maybe aren't Lionel Richie, that aren't already established like that, to bring them to the light of day.
Yes, absolutely. And again, you know, I've done these Zoom meetings and or interviews, and people weren't even aware that something like that existed, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like a kid in a candy store when they find out, oh, what? Are you kidding me? You know? So how cool is that? You know, and you know, again, you have to figure out what can you leave behind.
Right.
You know, and what are you doing to help people love and live out their experiences here while you have time.
Right.
And I ain't going nowhere. Let's be clear. I ain't planning to go anywhere. I'm just saying.
You're in the first quarter, right? You're in the first quarter.
I'm in the first quarter.
I'm trying to convince myself I'm in that first quarter now after hearing, but I'm probably more second quarter moving into third, you know? But I love that. I love that concept. I love that, you know?
yeah, absolutely. So the music is great. I just, I don't know where life would be for me if it wasn't for music.
Me
Where
too.
the
Well, me
world would be.
too. Me too. I mean, I don't know either. I would be lost. I would be lost without my music.
And you play, right? So,
I do play and I sing and yeah, and I teach.
ah,
I teach.
yeah, you're a teacher.
So yeah, so it's my life. I have a couple small hobbies outside of music, but otherwise I'm 25/7 with music, 25 hours a day. I worked that extra hour in somehow. That 25th hour, I'm always doing music.
Yeah, and which is cool, right?
Yes. Oh, it's
It's,
amazing.
it's amazing. And I can see it all on your face, you know, how it makes you light up. And just to have this opportunity to sit with you here and for you to share your stage and expose people and their gifts and what they're doing, that's phenomenal. It's just incredible. So thank you so much, because you could be sitting here playing your own music online, you know. But you're taking the time out for Carl Ray today, and man, I'm just so appreciative of that.
Well, it's so inspiring to hear your story. It really is. I want to ask you one other thing. I want to ask you, so next time music comes out, what is it going to be, a bluegrass gospel album? Are you kind of more in that direction now, or back to more traditional country? Where do you think this next full length might end up?
So I'm going to let you in on a little insight.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's going to happen.
Okay.
But we're talking about it.
Okay.
And so because I really, after Johnny passed, before he passed and he got really sick, he had agreed that we would do something together, and I told him I wanted to do I Can See Clearly Now. And so he was all in,
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another. He got sick, and and everything happened. So I've been really thinking about I Can See Clearly Now, a tribute to Johnny Nash, with an extra little spin in it, with some extra things put in it to update it, and so that may be the next project, just in memory of him, and so we'll see. But it's going to be inspiring, again, because that song's inspiring. He wanted to inspire. I want to inspire and keep the momentum going, for helping us to understand that in spite of what's going on, it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day.
That would be a wonderful project to be able to share with people and to continue his legacy through your eyes and through your spirit of what he was trying to accomplish in his life. Because it was obviously deeper than the music for him. He loved the music, of course, but he was someone that inspired countless people, I'm sure, just with his words and also with just how he carried himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing I'm working on, and then I still love the bluegrass.
Yeah,
I love the bluegrass, and I just love the bluegrass. That's all I can say. So I don't know. I'm really soul searching right now on what that might look like, but whatever it is going to be inspiring.
Well, I am looking forward to hearing some new music from you and going back and listening to some of the older music too. So, it's been such a pleasure to talk with you today. I hope we can talk again sometime. I really do. I wish there were more hours in the day, but I hope we can talk again sometime. And I certainly wish you the best of luck with your current project, with the video, and the song for I Stand With This Country. And whatever the future has in store with your next project and projects beyond in the beginning of your second quarter.
Excellent. Well, the best to you too, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and I hope we can talk again sometime,
Okay.
Carl. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.